Telling my fiance I won't help. Pay the mortgage. When I look back at the last 10 years of my life, it feels like a story with many chapters. Some were happy, some difficult, and others confusing. But lately, I have felt more lost than ever. I am a 29-year-old woman, and I have been with my fiance since I was 19. We met when we were both young and unsure about the future. We made mistakes, supported each other, and over time, built what I believed was a true partnership. In 2020, we had our first child, a beautiful baby who changed everything. Around the same time, I lost my job. It was not anyone's fault. The world had changed because of the pandemic, and like many others, I was let go. We were living in an apartment then, but our lease was ending. Thankfully, my grandmother stepped in and offered us a place to stay. Her house had a finished basement, like a small apartment of our own. It was cozy, warm, and more than anything, it gave us a chance to breathe. Rent-free living meant we could save money and plan for the future. My grandma was a godsend. She even offered to help watch the baby if I wanted to return to school. The idea of going back to school had always been at the back of my mind. I had taken some classes before, but I had never finished. With a child now, and wanting to give my family the best life possible, I brought it up seriously. My fiance agreed. He said it was a smart idea. We had no rent to pay, and with my grandma helping with childcare, I could attend classes. He offered to cover the school expenses. I applied, got a Pell Grant and a small scholarship, and he paid the rest, about $3,400 a year on average. For 5 years, I studied part-time. Some semesters were harder than others, especially balancing school and raising a child. But we made it work. He worked full-time and was making good money. First $70,000, then $90,000 per year. I took care of the home and our baby. We had a rhythm, a life that felt like teamwork. We talked about our future often. We had agreed to wait on getting married until I finished school. The plan was to buy a house and settle into a more stable life. We dreamed of our own place, our child having their own room, maybe even a backyard to play in. A few months before graduation, we began looking at houses. It was exciting. We made Pinterest boards, browsed online listings, and even toured a few places. Then one day, we found a home we both loved. It had everything we wanted: space, light, charm. We met with a mortgage broker to start the process. That meeting changed everything. During the conversation, the broker asked who would be on the mortgage. Without even discussing it with me, my fiancé said, "Just me." I sat there, stunned. I did not say anything right away. I thought maybe I had misunderstood. But after the meeting, I asked him about it. I said, "I thought we were buying this house together." He looked at me and said, "We are. But the house will be under my name only. You will still help pay the mortgage, just not be on the deed." I was confused. "If I am not on the deed, then I have no rights to the house," I told him. He nodded. "Yeah, I know, but I am the one who saved the 40% down payment, so it is only fair." My heart dropped. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. This was not what we had planned. This was not what we had talked about. I took a deep breath and said, "If this is just your house, then I am not paying half the mortgage. This does not feel like a partnership." That is when he snapped. He called me ungrateful. He reminded me of everything he had paid for: my school, our living costs, and more. I reminded him that I had watched our child full-time, saving us money on daycare. That if I had worked, it would have only been part-time, and we would have needed childcare. He said he did not care. That I had already agreed to pay half, and now I was going back on my word. But this was not what we agreed to. We were supposed to be a team. We were supposed to build a future together. I talked to my grandma about it. She was upset too. She had let us stay with her because she believed in our shared future. She said she never would have offered if she knew he planned to take the house for himself. I tried talking to him again. I asked him why he changed his mind. He said he worked hard for his money and did not want to lose it if we got divorced. That is fair, I said. But if you want to protect your money, we can sign a prenup. One that says you get your 40% back and we split the rest equally. He frowned. He said he did not want to sell the house if we split up. I said, then maybe you should buy your own house that you can afford alone. He did not answer. I brought up couples therapy. I said we should work on our communication before marriage. He said no. He told me I just needed to listen to him. That was the end of that conversation. I sat on our couch later that night, holding our child in my arms, wondering where the man I fell in love with had gone. A few days passed, and we barely spoke. There was an uneasy silence between us. He stayed out longer than usual, coming home tired and distant. I stayed busy with our child and my final exams. The house, once filled with laughter and shared plans, now felt cold and full of tension. Late one evening, he finally sat down beside me. "We need to talk," he said. I nodded, bracing myself. He repeated what he had said before, that he did not want to put my name on the deed. "I do not want to lose everything if this does not work out," he said firmly. "But what about me?" I asked. "If we split, I lose everything. I helped raise our child, went to school so we could have a better life, and now I get nothing?" "Did not save up the down payment," he said, "so the house should be mine until you can match what I put in." I felt like crying, but I stayed calm. "What if we get a rental for now? Just something temporary until we figure this out." He shook his head. "That would be a waste of money." I suggested my final offer. "We go to therapy. We get married. Before we buy the house. That way we are both protected." He stood up. "No. I will not get married if that means you might take everything in a divorce." I was stunned. All those years together, the child we had, everything we had shared, it all seemed like nothing to him. "Then we should not get married," I said softly. "Are you breaking up with me?" he asked. "I do not know," I answered honestly. "But I need space." That was when he exploded. He shouted at me, called me names I do not even want to repeat. He said I owed him $30,000, that I was used up, that no one would ever want me. My grandma came down, calm but firm. She told him to leave. He packed a bag and left for a hotel. He called me again and again that night, leaving angry voicemails. I sat on my bed, numb, my baby curled up beside me, asking where Daddy went. I had no answer. In the following days, I tried to hold myself together. I focused on my child, finishing school, and staying grounded. I talked to my grandma often. She was supportive, patient, and kind. She told me she was proud of me for standing up for myself one night. I looked at his computer. Out of curiosity and confusion, I checked his YouTube subscriptions. That is when everything made sense. Joe Rogan, Fresh and Fit, Just Pearly Things, Adden Ross. My heart sank. I had heard of those names. My friends had warned me about that content, the kind that tells men to think only of themselves, to mistrust women, to see relationships as battles. I realized he had changed, slowly at first. He started talking more about being the man of the house. He said things like my money and my decisions. He called himself the protector and provider. I thought it was harmless, even sweet at times. But now, it all made sense. This was not the man who used to rub my back every night while I was pregnant. The man who sat through every doctor appointment, held my hand during labor, and cried when our baby was born. The man who once said, "I could never hurt you. That would hurt our child too." That man was gone. I do not know what comes next. But I know I cannot be with someone who does not see me as an equal. I cannot share a life, a home, or a future with someone who sees me as a burden. I am hurt, heartbroken, and scared. But I am not alone. I have my child. I have my grandma. And I have hope. Writing this out has helped. Thank you for reading my story. I hope that anyone going through something similar knows they deserve to be loved, respected, and treated like an equal. I may not know what comes next, but I know I will face it with strength, for myself, for my child, for our future. Weeks passed, and the silence between us turned into distance that felt impossible to cross. I could feel the weight of what had happened sitting heavy on my chest each morning when I woke up. My child was the only thing that kept me grounded. Those tiny arms around my neck, those innocent questions asking when Daddy would be home, those eyes searching mine for answers I did not have. I had started writing in a notebook. It became my quiet friend at night when sleep refused to come. I wrote about the love I once had, the hope I felt during our happiest days, and the fear creeping in now that the truth was laid bare. I wrote about wanting to feel safe again, not just physically, but emotionally. I wanted to feel like I could count on the person next to me, but I no longer could. One morning, my grandma sat across from me at the kitchen table. She gently placed a cup of tea in front of me and said, "You know, honey, love does not control. It builds. It does not belittle. It lifts." I nodded, tears brimming. "I just feel like I failed," I whispered. "Like I made all these choices because I trusted him. I wanted us to have a life together. I believed we were equals." She reached out and took my hand. "You did not fail. You made decisions based on love and trust. That is never wrong. What he did with that trust, that is on him." Her words stayed with me all day. That afternoon, I got a text from him. Just 3 words. "We need closure." I debated replying. My heart was not ready, but I also knew I needed to speak my truth out loud. We met at a small park nearby. Our child played on the swings while we sat on a bench not far away. He looked tired, maybe even regretful, but I could not be sure anymore. I waited for him to speak. "I did not mean for things to get so bad," he said. "I just got scared. Scared of losing everything. I understand being scared," I said quietly. "But you acted like I was the enemy. I am your partner, or at least I thought I was. You shut me out. You made decisions without me. And then you punished me for not going along with them." He looked down. "I thought I was doing the right thing." "The right thing?" I echoed. "By calling me names? By saying no one would ever want me?" He looked ashamed, but he did not apologize. "I cannot do this anymore," I said. "I do not want a life where love feels like a contract, where I have to fight for my place in my own home. I want peace. I want respect. I want our child to grow up seeing what love looks like. Not fear, not silence, not control." He nodded slowly. "So, what now?" "I think you should stay at the hotel or find a new place. For now, I am staying with Grandma until I figure things out." He opened his mouth as if to argue, then closed it. "Okay," he said. We said goodbye. I watched him walk away, wondering if he truly understood what had happened. That night, I held our child close, whispering promises I hoped I could keep. That we would be okay. That love is still real, even if this love was not the forever kind. And for the first time in a long time, I felt a small spark inside me. It was not happiness, not yet, but it was something real. It was hope.